It's not like we have lived off of artificial meat and we know it works. It's not as if we know for sure that plastic rice is going to nourish us.
There's a whole lot of assumption, a convicted assumption that has been happening in the last few years. Like, take this thing to prevent that thing. 2020. You'll be all right. Eat this fake food. This will give you what you need.
And let me give you I know we're not going to have cows, so let me make you the ice cream that the cow would have given you.
Yeah.
And I know I'll use plastic. We have a lot of that.
Notice how consistently there is an attempt to sever your connection to simple, natural, long-standing traditions and ideas. Your relationship with food, like whether you're a vegan or you're a carnivore diet, coffee drinking, mountain dwelling barbarian, however you enjoy food, there is no doubt, just look at words like feast and festival, carne and carnival, that the food we eat has an inherent and integral connection to our lives. It's one of the ways we organize. It's one of the ways that we connect. That's perhaps why when it was proposed that lab meat might be a suitable alternative for, regular meat, the great nation of Italy that prides itself on tradition and family and perhaps above all else, I don't know, I'm not Italian, food, rejected it out of hand, seeing it for what it was, the insidious rise of power that sought to connect people, not only from a source of nutrition, but a connection to tradition. Well, Ron DeSantis has obviously understood that the fake food fight is a fake food fight that can be fought on a global stage. And he has understood that banning the production of lab meats in the state of Florida would be popular.
You will not be seeing any lab-grown meat on grills in Florida. Governor DeSantis made that official today, signing a bill that bans the manufacture and sale of cultivated meats.
This mouth-watering sizzle and sear is more science to stomach than farm to table, and that's why it won't be happening in Florida.
Take your fake lab-grown meat elsewhere. We're not doing that in the state of Florida.
Basically, we can't buy the land once Bill Gates moves into the area. For example, his data center is right next door here. And since he's located in Bulletin, Virginia, land prices have went through the roof, $15,000, $20,000 an acre. What farmer do you know that can pay that kind of money per acre, off anything that we can grow on the farm? He doesn't do anything when he comes into these areas to support community-based organizations or invest back into these communities. That's what's hurting America right now.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to do now in the food industry is the same thing that they've done with seeds. When they put genetically modified seeds in, and now he wants to do that with beef. But America's farmers are proud farmers.
Bill Gates did not invent anything. The basic program was made by some mathematics professors in a college. The office operating system was by a software engineer, and he bought it for $50,000. He's built the empire by creating patents on software. And the first WTO meeting in Singapore gave him tax concessions, which is why all the IT industry moved to India. The fact that Silicon Valley became India's Silicon Valley is because they could save $40 billion annually, paying lower wages for the same work. It was an outsourcing of software, all for Bill Gates. And then he started to put some of his money into philanthropy. And everyone thinks, wow, he's such a generous man. He gives so much. I've done an analysis in the book. Every place he gives to is his former future markets.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Taurus of the Sun. And we are here to discuss some exciting, actually celebratory news with you today. We are celebrating that in the state of Florida, in the state of Tennessee, in the state of Arizona, and in Alabama, there will soon be coming legislation that will not allow for artificial or what's called cultured meats. So Governor DeSantis in Florida has already signed into law a bill that prevents artificial meat from being sold in Florida. And Tavares and I were talking about it, and I think he has some information about it. Would you like to share?
Yes, yes. So we got to get it. Yeah.
Oh, and before we start, we should call for the truth, because this is the truth.
So if you all are tuning in, would like to join in this frequency of truth, shall we call for the frequency of truth to come forward? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to speak the truth in all that we say, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call to hear the truth in all things? Shall we call for nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And now that we are in the truth of...
And the truth is bursting through into our reality.
Yeah. So, through Ron DeSantis.
Of all people.
Right? The universe constantly amazes us.
I want to make sure we share that we have to be grateful for whatever is moving us forward. So this is not about politics. This is not about religion. This is really about humanity and our ability to continue to be humanity.
Yes, I think that's a very balanced understanding and perception to have, because, people feel some type of weird way about Ron. I got to keep my thoughts in check about Ron. But I'm like, I don't know about that, but all right, Ron, I see you right there. Cosign, universe working through you.
Yeah, that's right. So did you want to talk about that a
Yeah,
little bit?
so the bill is SB 1084, prohibiting the making or production and selling of artificial meat. And then also on top of that, they are not allowing for the labeling of foods to use the term meat, because in essence, it is truly not meat. I think it's been defined as cultured meat, whatever that means. Petri dish. Cultured.
Yes.
Okay, it just hit me. Yeah, so they're making it in the lab-grown meat. And again, this is not what the divine and the Mother Earth has designed for us to do. So I think it's interesting that we have, you were speaking earlier about the South, the rebellion of the South, the Southern states like, no, we're not doing that. And I think it's important that we get on board with that. We say no in whatever capacity that we can, whether it's, as we often speak of, grow your own food. Shop local, and I don't mean the big box stores. Get to know the people who have the same passions that we have. Oh, you growing food too? I want to share. Remember that farmer's market I went to, and the woman who had the food stand called The Last Stand?
Yes.
I was like, why is this called The Last Stand? And I kind of knew, but I wanted to hear. She's like, because, I'm just tired of what's happening, and this is my last, I'm taking a stand. I'm like, that's right, girl. Let me get that basil and let me get that tomato plant right there. I'm coming back for that purple tomato, because we need those colors. So I find it's so empowering when we unite, because I understand there's more of us out there, and the several states that you mentioned are indicators of that.
Yes.
Passing legislation. So it's not all corrupt, but there's people who are like, no, we're not doing this.
Well, and there's also people in other places in the world who are full speed ahead in the production of artificial foods that have nothing to do with the biology and the evolutionary position that the human body has. So right now in China, they're making plastic rice, and they're mixing it in with regular rice so that they can save money on the weight of rice. So when you go to China, people say, oh, be careful what bag of rice you buy, because some of that is plastic rice.
I heard about cutting drugs to cutting rice. Like, come on, man.
Cutting rice. And the same thing in Israel, they're making plastic ice cream. I'm not sure who that's for.
The people putting plastic in themselves, maybe?
I'm not sure, but there's this huge revolution of scientists bending themselves into pretzels to produce things that will not keep us human. It's like, because ice cream comes from cows, and because they're getting rid of cows, they're getting rid of birds, they're getting rid of pork, they're getting rid of all the things that have been in our experience, that our biology and evolutionary position has kept us alive, because those things are going. So now they're finding the byproducts. So I guess there'll be plastic milk, as there's plastic ice cream, and since the seeds in the fields and the farms are being destroyed and being closed down, then there's the plastic rice. And so the inevitable result of that, along with the insects and the crickets, and then of course we have stories of scientists producing food or meat from biological human waste.
Yeah,
so all
Japan.
of these things are in the news. All of these things are current stories that you can look up on the internet, and everyone is getting on the bandwagon of, I can make food for humans. I can make food. I can make baby formula, but there are really no statistical, there's no level of understanding that in fact is true. Only that you say you can do it.
It's an assumed endeavor.
Yeah, it's not like we have lived off of artificial meat and we know it works. It's not as if we know for sure that plastic rice is going to nourish us.
There's a whole lot of assumption, a convicted assumption that has been happening in the last few years. Like, take this thing to prevent that thing. 2020. And you'll be all right. Eat this fake food. This will give you what you need.
And let me give you I know we're not going to have cows, so let me make you the ice cream that the cow would have given you.
Yeah.
And I'll use plastic. We have a lot of that.
So I wanted to ask you, what is this thing? Because look, we live in a society where there's plastic everywhere. It's something that, first off, I understand there is technology and resources available to rectify this issue. I even came across something where some people came across some type of bacteria that will consume the plastic and help with the process. That's just one that I'm aware of. And, we're putting plastic and things inside, like injections, silicone and things like that. Everything comes in plastic. What's behind that?
It's so interesting that you mentioned a few things. And when there have been oil spills in the past, we know that there are biological organisms, like living creatures, that can be put in the water to eat the oil. The oil is what makes the plastic. So of course we have the solution.
Yes.
We do have the solution to these things, but nobody's trying to make that in a lab.
You don't find that suspicious? I'm gonna need a video. Cue that up. For real, that's suspicious.
That's it.
Like,
so we have the solutions to these things. It's not only what you said, it's more. So there's information that there are phthalates in the body, microscopic pieces of plastic that are in our blood, that are in our organs. And yes, we can remove them, but we must focus and go after them, because now they're part of the mechanism. They have inculcated themselves into the mechanism. We don't actually need plastic rice or plastic ice cream to get us fully inundated with plastic. We're already there. Mm-hmm. Our clothes are made of plastic. Mm-hmm. Clothes are polyester. We wash them in our washing machines. It goes into the water supply. The microscopic particles go into the air, and then that's part of what we breathe. So yes, our world is inundated with it. All of this level of artificial is not sustainable for the evolutionary process of humanity, and I don't need a degree to discern that. I'm very clear that we need that. Even the idea of pushing veganism, which is in some cases I speak from the process of having helped people overcome things over many decades.
I'm being one of them too.
Yeah, some people need more vegetables. Some people need more meat. Some people need other things that may be missing in their profile from their ancestry. However, it is not a one-size-fits-all situation. So most people do well with a diet that has a lot of fruits and vegetables. But the evolutionary understanding of humanity is if your ancestors ate fish and they lived by the seashore, or if they were able to indulge in the other cultivated animals that are for human consumption, then it is likely your body is calling for that, because we haven't moved so far away from that yet. You may only be a half a generation Like you may have been raised by parents who were meat eaters and you became a vegetarian and you don't even have one full generation yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a child. That child may not be a full vegetarian and may not be able to grow teeth the right size or have enough calcium for their spinal columns because the body hasn't had a moment of evolution yet.
Yes.
So I'm not against anything. I'm saying more that we can't in one generation like throw up in the air all of the nutritional supports that humanity has had in face of artificial chicken. Vibration. We are a universal remedy of support, an ally infused with positive frequencies and biophotonic light particles, intended to return one to the greater whole of one's organic nature. Within our layered structure exists an opportunity for metamorphosis, prompting divine healing energies of light to awaken your original composition, that which has been irritated by inorganic substances through mental, emotional, and physical material. We are navigators, those who operate by way of your conscious thought and directive, exponentially moving to the physical areas of stuck emotion within the body that are in need of restoration. When engaged with us, we identify and mirror the called upon frequencies of lower vibratory notion for it to see itself in transmutation, while awakening that which is dormant to shift into the rectification of optimum balance and functionality.
So all of this to me sounds like a psyop.
Yes.
Sounds like a psychological operation. What I want to talk about is actually going to be in our next episode, but I'm gonna hold back. But I will say this though, as you were speaking, I could see what was coming to me was humans. We really don't know who we are, what we are, and we have allowed someone else to inform us of that. And the part of us that sees the truth of it, that truth has been kind of crafted with the lie, and we've been tricked. You know, I was at the barbershop and the barber asks me, "So are you vegan?" I was like, "Nah, I'm flexitarian." You know, if I was to be anything, but I said I choose to eat life. What gives me life, really? You know, and I said veganism's not life. Beer and French fries, that's vegan. No animals were harmed in the making of it. And you know, everything that you were saying about what the ancestors ate and the information of the biology is still there. So you can't escape that, right, in one generation. There are things that can happen. Yes, evolution can occur, but like not in that way, because again, it's still artificial. You know, even plant-based is not really plant-based. It's soy, hydrogenized oils and things like that, overly processed foods, which are made to look like this nostalgic thing that we enjoy, but it's vegan, so it's okay. I was watching this video, saw these people, they're melanated people and they're into veganism and they're eating, and I'm like, man, I see what you all are doing. I see where you're trying to go, but like that is not the way. And it's ultimately a trap from what I see.
I think much of what we see in our world has been happening for a long time especially with the food from the end of World War II, and that much of this is an emotional connection that you can be a vegan and we'll just shape this vegetable or this semi-food product into something that looks like something you may have had when you were a child. Or that we don't have enough, we have not researched this enough, but the marketing says that this will be the perfect thing for you. It's good for men, it's good for women. Then we find out our children their genders are being addressed through a food product inappropriately, and they're not developing correctly. And then we have known that for many decades. So these are things that are easy to research. They're well available, but I'm not sure that everyone is putting the pieces together.
I think that's very accurate, because a lot of the things are out there, but it takes time, and this is why we have these discussions. And speaking of which, we are going to continue this discussion on the platform Rumble. So we encourage you, join us. We're going to have a link in the description, because in the words of LaOta, shall we go deeper? So if you got your snorkeling gear and your flippers and you want to join us, follow us. We will also have the solution, more of a solution to what we just spoke about.